Hey, it's Corey with the Meals team at eXp Realty. Today I want to talk to you about the home selling process. There's tons of information online about the home buying process. Something that I feel like is not discussed is the home selling process, everything from start to finish that you might expect. Whenever it comes to thinking about selling your home and getting a game plan together, you really want to look at all aspects of the process, including where you're moving to next. This is something that we do quite often with our clients is we will help them not only sell their home, but we'll help them buy the next property, and making sure that you have a seamless plan from selling to buying is going to be extremely important. When it comes to selling your property, the first thing you want to look at is comparable sales to come up with a competitive listing price. Whenever I'm talking to a homeowner about what their home could sell for, I want to give them as much information, as much data about similar properties that have sold, what the market's doing, what trends we're seeing, and I want to help them come up with a competitive listing price. Ultimately, the listing price is up to the seller. However, if we list too high, what I've seen happen is that can scare buyers off. The property is going to sit on the market longer and you're going to get lower offers. If you list too low, there's always the potential of missing out, leaving money on the table, and not getting as high of an offer as you expected. The best pricing strategy, in my opinion, is to list right around what you expect the home to sell for. Leave a little bit of negotiating room, or if you want it sold quickly, price it right at what you think it's going to sell for, and that's going to be the most effective tool to selling your property, pricing it right. The next thing we talk about is everything you need to do before we get listing photos, before we start showing the property. This is where we're going to walk through. I'm going to talk to you about decluttering, about touch-ups, any repairs, deferred maintenance that needs to be taken care of before we list the property and get the listing photos. And we're going to make sure that the property is presented online in its best light. We want to make sure that that first online impression is going to grab those buyers' attention, and it's going to ensure that they want to come look at it. Whenever we get the listing photos, it usually takes 24 to 48 hours to get those back, and we will have the property ready to go and listed on MLS. Now, once we list a property on MLS, that means that realtors, buyers, anybody in the market, anybody in the world with an internet connection is going to see your listing. We have an extensive marketing plan, several avenues that we market different websites to, and we want to make sure that we're getting as much quality content about your listing in front of as many qualified buyers as possible. Whenever we start showing the property, we're going to have a showing company that schedules and coordinates showings, make sure that you're aware and informed on what time buyers are going to be there. We're going to be able to get feedback. We're going to see who's coming and who's going. And we're going to make sure that we're hearing that feedback of what the market's saying, and we can make any adjustments that we might need to. That could be in consideration of price. It could be in consideration of the property condition, anything like that that we're hearing from agents that we might want to adjust. We're going to make sure that we're talking about that on a weekly basis, bare minimum. Most oftentimes, we're going to talk after every single showing. We're going to talk after any kind of marketing efforts that we do or any launches that we do, open houses, things of that nature. Whenever we get somebody who's going to make an offer, we are going to talk about that offer. We're going to break down with a net sheet on exactly what you could walk away with based on the terms, condition, and price of how that offer is written. And what that means is we're not only just looking at the highest priced offer, we're going to look at all the other aspects of the contract and how it can affect you as the seller. Because sometimes it doesn't always come down to price. It can come down to timeline. It can come down to possession, meaning do you as the seller need to stay a little bit longer, or do you need to move out a little bit sooner? That's something that we can negotiate in that contract. Once we come to an agreement in the contract, the next step is usually going to be the buyer doing their inspections. This is where they're going to have a 7 to 10 day inspection period, sometimes more, sometimes less, and they're going to have a licensed inspector come in. They're going to look at everything from the foundation to the roof, plumbing, electrical, everything in between, and they're going to give the buyer a pretty extensive list of everything that they find in that inspection. Now, when the buyer gets that list, their agent is going to typically say, hey, everything was good, or they're going to say, we've got some issues that we need to work through. And it's not uncommon for buyers to come back and say, we'd like you to adjust the price, or we'd like you to make these repairs, or we'd like you to, give us a credit in lieu of those repairs. Don't freak out whenever you see that initial amendment. That's something that we're going to talk about. That's something we're going to work through and make sure that we find some common ground with the buyer to where we can keep moving forward and keep the deal moving towards closing as long as it still makes sense for you as the seller. Once we make it past the inspection periods and we get all of that stuff hashed out and the buyer feels good about moving forward, the next step in the process is making sure that the title work is all complete. That's where the title company is going to be asking for your payoff. They're going to be doing a title history search. And when I say payoff, I mean if you have a current mortgage on the property or any lines of credit or anything like that, they're going to get that information so they can order a payoff for those loans. They're going to be doing a title history search to make sure there's no liens, debts, back taxes, and they're going to issue the buyer a commitment for a new title insurance policy when we close. The next big step in the home buying process is going to be the appraisal. This is where the buyer's lender, unless they're paying cash, but the buyer's lender is going to send out an appraiser. They're going to do a physical inspection of the property. It won't be near as intense as the general home inspection, but they're going to go out, they're going to take some photos, and then their job is to make sure that the property is actually worth what the buyer's paying for it. Once we make it past the appraisal, that's really the last big hurdle in the home buying process. And from there, we're going to start coordinating close dates, movers, all of that good stuff. And we're going to be getting that in line for our close date. Whenever you finally make it to closing, you're going to show up, you're going to bring your driver's license or any kind of government ID that's still valid, and you're going to sign the closing documents. Once the buyer signs, you sign, and the buyer brings their funds and the lender funds the transaction, it's considered a closed and funded transaction. You no longer own the property. You can start canceling and turning off utilities, canceling any homeowners insurance policies or anything of that nature. And you can contact your current mortgage company and let them know that you've sold the property, and you can expect a refund from your escrow account for your taxes and insurance. If you have any questions about this process, or if you're thinking about selling and you're curious what your home could sell for, I'd love to sit down with you. I'd love to talk to you about all of those questions, and I'd love to just make sure that you're an informed consumer whenever it comes to thinking about selling. Another big thing that I love to do with my sellers is make sure that on our initial consultation, after we've established where we think we're going to list that property, I like to work up a net sheet and make sure that you are fully aware of what closing costs are going to look like, what commissions are going to look like, and you're going to know exactly, well, you're going to know pretty close to what net proceeds you're going to walk away with from closing. We also think it's extremely important to come up with a game plan on where you're going to be going next. Before we put the property on the market, we want to make sure, are you purchasing a home here in Texas? Are you moving to Oklahoma? That's something that we can help with in either state. Or is it something where you're going to be moving to a different state and we need to help you get in touch with a referral partner of ours? Here at eXp, we're one of the largest referral brokerages in the world, and we've got partners all over the country, all over the world that can help you relocate and make sure that you have a smooth transaction process where you're moving to, just like you have where you're selling here in North Texas. Thank you so much. I know that was a lot of information, and everybody's situation is different. So like I said, we'd love to sit down and meet with you, hop on a phone call, talk about your specific situation, whether you're buying, moving to a rental, selling and moving to a rental, selling, moving to a new home that you're purchasing. We can make sure that that's a seamless transaction. I hope you guys are doing well. Once again, my name is Corey with the Mills team at eXp, and I will talk to you soon.